guys, this is Shannon from Skip to My Life. Today is a Friend Friday Hop with Heidi Sambol and Happily Thriving Heidi. At the end of this video, please click the link below in the description box and you'll be taken to the next content creator. At the end of the hop, you'll do the complete circle and get lots of terrific ideas for stay-at-home crafts. So without further ado, let's get started on this spring tablescape. We're going to be talking about 6 different DIY ideas for Mother's Day tablescape. The first is a DIY cake stand, and you can definitely use things that you have. This is just a plate that I had from Dollar Tree, a plastic plate, and an old wooden candlestick. I was going to repurpose this into something else, but it just never happened. I want you to see the circle on the bottom side of that plate. It's really important that you find the center. I had my measuring stick all ready to measure the center, but didn't need to because that circle was there. If you don't find the exact center of the plate, your cake stand is going to be wobbly. So it's worth it if you don't have some kind of mark on there to measure it out and make sure you get exact center before you glue that down. So I used a little bit of a glue gun and also some E6000. Next, after that is all dry, and I actually spray painted it white. You don't have to spray paint it if you like the way that your candlestick looks and your plate looks. This is just a little extra. My theme was woodland and bright colors. This was inspired by my mother-in-law. She's an avid gardener and she loves bright colors. So I did this whole tablescape with her in mind. So I just started with my twine, my rope, nautical rope. You can find this at any Dollar Tree. You might even have some of it laying around in your garage and not thought of using it. You could use yarn, you could use string, whatever you like. But after I'd spray painted my plate, I went ahead and I glue gunned that on. After I got finished, I realized that my cake plate was just a little bit wobbly, so I needed to make the base whiter. And I used the top of a candle. I thought I was going to have to paint it, but I really didn't need to do that. You'll see in the end. I used a little bit of super glue, and I also put some glue gun on there so that it would set up right away. And I just glued that onto the bottom of the cake stand. Now once that was done, I went ahead and finished covering it with the nautical rope so that it looks like one cohesive piece. I got my level out to make sure the cake plate was completely level, and I put my heavy jar of dog treats on top just to let it set up really nice and firm. So the second one of the DIYs is these moss covered boxes. Now I got these 3 little purses at Dollar Tree before all of this happened, but you can use any shape you want. Here's some examples: a boot. If you have an old purse laying around, just a regular box that you have. And we're going to cover these with moss. This is moss from the Dollar Tree. You could use moss from your backyard if you wanted to. You could use any kind of floral that you have, leaves, anything like that. But my biggest tip for you is to go ahead and paint whatever object you're covering green before you start. I tried this without painting it green, and I tried it with, and let me tell you, you're going to use a lot less moss and you won't have to do as much work. If you go ahead and just paint the base green, any little tiny pieces showing through won't matter. You won't have to be so fastidious about covering it. The next thing I'm going to do for this particular piece is make a purse handle. Now, if you're not going for the shape of a purse, you don't really have to bother with this, but you might want to make something like a teacup handle or something like that. So I'm just taking some floral wire and I'm just kind of making that shape and securing it really well on the inside of the box. If you're enjoying this craft, press the like button and also consider subscribing to this channel. I would love to meet up with you more. Now I decided that I wanted my purse to be a little bit open, and this is hard for me to explain to you until you really see the finished product. But I decided I wanted to tuck something inside the purse as part of my display, and for that reason, I'm using this technique of gluing a tongue depressor. I just bent it in half and took the bottom half off, and then I just glue gunned that in to make the lid appear a little bit open. And trust me, you'll see how this turns out in the end. It looks a little strange from this vantage point, but you'll see in the end. You could either put the popsicle stick or the tongue depressor in the middle or to the side, and it just depends on what your project is. Okay, this next step is going to be putting the moss on the little wire handle. And as I said in my title here, I highly recommend you use gloves or something covering your fingers, or have a cuss jar ready, because you will for sure burn your fingertips like I did. I almost let one slip a couple times. I did not, I stopped myself. But this will have the potential to burn your fingers if you're not wearing something. So please do as I say and not as I do if you're going to be creating this cute little handle. Now the next thing we're going to do is get started mounting the moss on the front of the purse. For my purses, as you'll see as I go along, the back is not going to show. So I only covered the front and the sides with moss. And this is one of those projects where you want to put on a TV show or some music or a podcast and just really take your time. You're going to put a little bit of glue gun on, put a little bit of moss on, go to the next spot, and just keep going on and off, on and off. You'll see my finished project to the right and then one that's in process to the left. So you can see the next step is going to be to give it a nice short haircut. And this will expose if you have any bald spots that you need to go back and cover again. And it just also really helps that handle shape to be really pronounced so that you can tell this is definitely a purse. Once you're finished trimming that up, go ahead and get out some hairspray. You're going to spray that purse really, really well and kind of tamp down on the moss. This will shed a lot if you don't use hairspray. So I highly recommend you use hairspray. I even did it over the course of a couple different days. I would let it dry and then I would just come back and spray it some more and shake it out a little bit and see if it was still shedding until I had the desired effect. Here's where the fun really starts. So we're going to create a centerpiece out of the objects that we've been making so far. And we're gonna start by putting a little paper plate on top of that cake stand. The reason I did this is because I'm going to be gluing things to that surface, and I wanted to reuse my cake stand. I didn't want it just to be for this project. So if you just take a paper plate and cut some of those edges off, it provides the perfect little pedestal. It won't be seen underneath. Now you can see that I'm arranging the 3 purses, and I have a piece of floral foam in the center. This is a great project to use those scraps of floral foam, or maybe some pieces that you've used before and you can repurpose. Get out that glue gun, because let me tell you, you're really gonna need to use it to glue these moss forms together. You'll see now why I didn't put any moss on the back of those purses, because they're not gonna show and it will make it also adhere together better. Now it's time to add some flowers, and these are where I really had fun bringing in those bright colors. As I was looking at my Dollar Tree long before we were staying home, I was thinking about this project and I just picked the brightest colors I could find because my mother-in-law just loves them. Her yard is full of them. She has the most beautiful hummingbird bushes and all kinds of things. So it was easy for me to decide what colors to choose. I started by just putting some little sprigs of greenery in those purses, and then I used the floral foam in the center to just start sticking the flowers in there. It was trial and error. I did rearrange this a couple times. One of those floral arrangements from Dollar Tree actually had these adorable monarch butterflies in it. You'll see that I start by putting that in the center arrangement, but in the end I ended up gluing those butterflies to the purses, and I just love the way this turned out. Also, I added some bling to the outside of the purses. I just wanted to make them look a little bit more like a purse. So I had some leftover rhinestones and just extra pieces of jewelry. I encourage you not to throw away old jewelry. And I just cut those off and made them into little buttons on the outside of the purses. I decided that it needed just a little bit more color. So I reused some ribbon that I had left over from Halloween in orange and purple, which went perfectly with this bright tablescape. And I just twisted them up on a little bit of wire and stuck them in between those purses, and I think it adds just the pop of color that I needed to unify this piece. I decided I wanted to add an extra little detail to the arrangement, and I had these gift bags that I'd purchased at Dollar Tree. I actually had to hunt them down at several Dollar Trees because once I found one, I loved them, and then I went back and they were of course sold out. So then I had to go on the hunt, like you guys have probably done from time to time. Tell me if you've ever had that experience. But I just went ahead and cut out the little vintage stamp on these to add to that purse. And this is why I have the opening on there. I put the little sprigs of greenery, but I also wanted to put that little vintage stamp to tie it together. Tell me what you think. Is it worth that extra detail? Now remember, I'm only using things that I had at home. So these items were all purchased at Dollar Tree previous to the stay-at-home orders, which we are following religiously. The only place we're going is to check in on my in-laws, and when we're there we stay 6 feet apart, and now we're all wearing masks as well. So to continue on the tablescape, our next project is going to be some DIY placemats. Remember, I told you to save those gift bags because they are the perfect size for a placemat, the larger bags. If you have smaller bags at home, you could actually extend them by using some craft paper or fabric underneath, but the larger size bags make the perfect size for a placemat. Each bag will give you 2 placemats, and I would really encourage you, after you cut off the fronts from each bag, to save all the little bits and bobs from the rest of the bag. Save the cardboard, save the ribbon handle, save the side pieces, because you may very well use them in another project. Now I wanted to cover up those ribbon holes, so I chose to use some rhinestone ribbon. I believe it had 5 rows of rhinestone, and I just decided that was a little bit too much. So I went ahead and cut off 2 rows to make it a 3-row piece. And I just measured the width of that bag and glued the rhinestones right over where those ribbon holes were. It adds a little bit of bling, and I think it ties in with that bling that I put on the purses. Now the bag was a little bit wrinkled, a little bit creased, so with a very, very light iron, I went ahead and went over the bag on the back. If I had this to do over again, I would have done it before I put the rhinestones on, but hindsight's 20/20, right? For the next DIY project, we're going to go ahead and make a tablecloth or table runner. This is just a scrap of fabric that I had in my stash, and I decided I wanted a really neutral color. You could use a lot of different things in place of a piece of fabric. You could use wrapping paper, you could use paper bags. The nice thing about this tablescape is that it really draws on the colors of nature. So I have so many brights that any kind of a neutral would do. Even a paper bag would look great underneath this. We're putting the whole thing together now, and you'll see that I'm starting by using these square white plates. These are our everyday plates. They're china plates, and I got them at Dollar Tree a long time ago, but use whatever you have. I'm also using some green dessert plates that I purchased at Dollar Tree. They have a little bit of beading on them just to add a little bit of interest, but again, use whatever you have around your house. The green tinted goblets are also from Dollar Tree. They also come in a blue, a really pretty turquoise blue color. But if you just have glasses or clear colored wine goblets, that will work just fine. This last DIY came to me as I was taking a walk, and maybe a lot of you have been walking more than usual. I know that I have. I saw these beautiful leaves on a tree as I was walking by, and I thought, you know what, those would be perfect place markers. They're really sturdy little leaves. I'm not sure what kind of tree this is. If you know, please let me know. Please comment below. All I did was I just took out my gold glass marker from Dollar Tree, and you could use any permanent marker, and I wrote names on those little place card leaves and set them on the plates, and I think it just adds a lot of fun and whimsy to this piece, and it helps tie it in with that nature theme again. If you've enjoyed this video, press the like button for me and consider subscribing to my channel. I would love to have you come back and share some more crafts with you. Come on over to my blog, Skip to My Life. There's a link below. I think you'll love the content there. I hope you got some great ideas for something you could do from what you already have at home for a spring tablescape. Maybe you'll decide to do a virtual party. Maybe you'll plan for Mother's Day celebration or something completely different. At the end of this video, please click on the link below. We're doing a Friend Friday Hop, and you'll be linked to the next content creators' information and fun crafts. We'll see you next time.